Hello everybody and welcome to today's episode of Geek Out EV, where I am going to talk a little bit about Porsche. So what have Porsche been up to? Well, in a nutshell, they've released a new version of the Panamera SE Hybrid. Fantastic. That's not the interesting bit. The interesting bit is that 60% of their sales of Panameras in Europe have been the plug-in hybrid variety, which very clearly demonstrates that when the price is roughly equal, people will go for the plug-in hybrid over the normally aspirated version. And I feel this is a very positive thing because hopefully Porsche will be sufficiently encouraged and motivated by that they will actually produce a long-range EV, Mission E. Seems to be becoming a reality, not yet, but it seems to be heading in that direction, and I'm very excited about that. You know, I'm not excited because I'm going to go out and buy one. I'm not. Same with the Panamera, actually. But what excites me about these things is the fact that as Porsche moves further and further towards EVs as a method of competing, basically, because Porsches have always been two things: reliable and civilized on the one hand, and on the other hand, very fast and, you know, a lot of fun. And the problem they've got, I think, is that they're going to struggle to compete with cars like the Model S, which is just basically a better Porsche Panamera in every respect except the interior fit and finish quality, which you're going to forgive it because although they might cost the same amount to buy, one of these will be considerably cheaper to run. And I'm not just talking about fuel savings here, I'm also talking about the servicing and maintenance side of it as well. My dream, if you like, is Porsche to release the Mission E, get a really good response from that, and for that enthusiasm to flow through into Audi and into VW and into the various other members of that car manufacturing group, because they make a lot of the world's cars, and a large part of what holds back EVs is there is a very, very limited choice. Very limited. I mean, literally, if I went out now shopping for an EV, it'd be a short list of 3 or 4 cars. If I went out shopping for a car, it would be hundreds of cars. So what I want is for there to be far more variety available in terms of, you know, not just obviously plug-in hybrids, but principally electric vehicles, the full ones, the ones with big batteries that go long distances. That would be so cool. And Porsche is the perfect company to try and make that a reality because they are part of that larger group. Also, I think very much Tesla got it right in terms of the start at the top, work your way down. Because the thing about building expensive luxury cars that are fully electric is it makes everybody further down in the sort of price scale feel like, well, that's what they want. That's if only they could stretch to that. And then as the technology gets cheaper and cheaper, more and more of them will be able to actually buy that, and it'll really take off. That's what I want to see happen. I think it's what Tesla has done very well so far in terms of actually making that more and more of a reality over time, because they really have fully broken the concept of EVs as slow milk float type, you know, vehicles. No. Now they're the quickest on the road. 0 to 60 certainly. Everybody knows the quickest cars 0 to 60 are either multi-million-dollar hypercars that'll probably break if you try and use them, or it's a Tesla that you can go do the shopping in and still do 0 to 60 in 2.5 seconds on the way home if you like your eggs scrambled. So that pull from the top is, I think, a very crucial part of what's making EVs more and more available. But what's missing at the moment is any real choice. There's very little to choose between, you know, basically you've got like for example, the Nissan Leaf, you've got the Renault Zoe, you've got the Hyundai Ioniq. They're all more or less the same size car with relatively similar capabilities and acceleration. I mean, there are differences, but they don't have a particular standout feature. I know which one I would choose out of those three. I go with the new Nissan Leaf, but even so, maybe price would change my mind on that. The Zoe is very cheap and still, you know, very effective. The Hyundai seems like a fantastic car, a bit low on the range compared to the other two, but it's still good. But that's three cars. You know, there's no Bolt over here or Ampera E, not in the UK, so that's not even a consideration. And even if it was a consideration, GM lose money selling those, so that's obviously not sustainable, and I don't know if they really have a plan for making that a profitable vehicle for them, which is what I want to see. I want to see vehicles that are profitable for the manufacturers, good for the customers, and as wide variety of choice as possible for the car buying public. So yeah, my Christmas list isn't asking for much at all then. Back to the Panamera SE Hybrid. It's clearly aimed at the same segment as the Tesla Model S. And Porsche have other vehicles which are clearly vying for customers with Model X as well. So I can see how, you know, similar price points, similar vehicles, there's a clear competitive side to things between these two companies. And at the moment, I would say Tesla is like miles ahead. Porsche have got the pedigree. What they don't have is the full EVs. The Panamera SE Hybrid, it's only got a 50 kilometre, 30 odd mile range, and that's the kind of rather unrealistic European driving cycle. So realistically, you're looking probably 20, 25 miles on electricity only, which is such a short distance you almost wonder if it's worth it at all. But there is one great positive to things like plug-in hybrids. The battery runs out, you lose your instant acceleration, everything starts to get a little bit more clunky and noisy, and you think to yourself, if only I had a bigger battery. So it's kind of like, you know, leads people in, hopefully. Also, another great thing about electric vehicles in general, actually, this is for all automakers out there at the moment, because they are a little bit on the scarce side, they are a great way to bring new people into the brand. And I think that was a large part of what GM were trying to do with the Bolt and the Ampera E. Before I bought the Nissan Leaf, I never would have considered Nissan, except they just happened to sell the only realistic electric vehicle on the market back then. And I took one drive and it was like, yes, the way electric cars drive is the future and I want one. And then I managed to convince my wife somehow. Right, okay, I hope you've enjoyed today's Geek Out EV episode. If you have, remember to like it and subscribe if you don't already, and I will see you next time.